Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Anna, aka Brookwillow, and as I record this, it's July 2nd, so I am in the throes of summer knitting. As I sit here and look at some of the finished projects and new whips that I have on the needles, I seem to see a commonality of like a garden party themed with the colors and the motifs and the lace patterns that I'm knitting. And I'm very excited to show you all that. And then I have a little bit of a spinning update for you. And I also have pulled my sewing machine back out of the cupboard that I keep it in, and I've just been keeping it on my dining room table this whole time. So I am slowly starting to work through some sewing projects as well, and I have a finished garment that I'm really excited to show you, and I'm going to save that more towards the end because I always kind of like to start out with the knitting portion. Before we officially jump into everything, I did want to talk about what I'm wearing today. In my last episode, I did have this as a finished object, but I didn't block it and I didn't show off any video or pictures of me wearing it. It is the Rich Sweater by Hiromi Nagasawa. I'm not going to go into too much detail about it because I just gave all the details in my last podcast episode. So if you want to learn more about this particular sweater and the yarn I use, I highly recommend checking that last video out. My two finished objects were work in progresses from my last video. And the first one is the Snaran Ness by Gudrun Johnston from her book Shetland Trader Volume 3. This is a lovely all over lace knit bandana, and you can kind of see the lace coming through with the light there. And I've made this before and wore it all the time. I still have it, but I wanted a darker solid color version of it, and I am really happy with how it turned out. I love accessorizing with bandanas. I used to be a necklace girl. I used to wear necklaces all the time. And I think like the metal felt constricting and almost too dainty. But with a scarf, I feel like it just adds a lot of cool volume and interest to an outfit. Not saying necklaces don't, but this is kind of taking place as a soft necklace version for me. I knit this with some sock yarn that I had. Originally, I was going to use up all 100 grams that I had to see how big it would get, but I decided to just use the 50 grams, so half of the yarn that I had, because I really liked the size of how this bandana turned out. And I can just use that other yarn as like a contrast color in some socks or maybe another type of project. My next finished object is still drying a little bit because I just started blocking them this morning, but they are the Fiorita Socks by Marie-Eve Wedge. And this is the top of the foot here, and then here's the back of it. This is a sock pattern using the Estonian inlay technique, which was a new to me technique to learn. I always love finding a project that I learn a new technique in because it just helps widen my knitting knowledge arsenal. So what a beautiful little project to learn that new technique that was pretty low stakes considering they are both just some knit socks. The base yarn that I used for this, so the background color, is from Farmer Daughters Fibers Sock Squad, and it was the February colorway. I think it was called like Luna Moth or something like that. And then the contrast color that I have here, I used from Karlie Paige Fiber Co. She does natural dyeing, and it's, I believe, one of her sock bases that she has. And the reason why I decided to use her yarn for the contrast instead of the mini that came with this sock set is because I really love the way the sock yarn blooms. I think it helped fill out the pattern quite a bit. I originally did start with the mini with it, and it just didn't look quite right, so I'm really happy with the choice that I made. And in my last video, I said that I thought it called for 100 grams for the contrast color, but it does in fact just call for 50 grams of the contrast color. So if you do have a mini that's 50 grams, you would easily be able to use that to create both of these socks. This really was a fun project to knit, and I'm looking forward to wearing these socks with some cute shoes that show off all of this lovely color work, because I don't really want to hide it in a boot and get it all felted or messed up. So they're going to be a little bit precious, which is fine. It gave me the confidence to start some other Estonian inlay projects that I was maybe a little too intimidated by the past, and now I can finally work on those. But I will say it is not hard at all to do this technique. If you can do color work, it's the same thing. You're just bringing the yarn floats to the front instead of to the back. So I highly recommend trying the technique out on this pair of socks because, again, it's a low stakes project and a very easy, and yet it has a very big impact. The first work in progress I want to show you is one that you've seen before if you're a regular viewer around here, but I kind of hit a big milestone with it, so I'm excited to show you the progress that I made. And it is the Tessillated Cardi by Andrea Lowry. So I finally finished the front and the back, and I combined the two at the shoulder at the top. So all that is left is to knit the sleeves and the button band and to attach all the buttons, and then I will be done. My goal is to have this completed by the fall because I started it last fall and I really wanted to have it last fall, but I laugh at myself now thinking I could have had it done by then. But I'm happy that I'll be able to have it at the beginning of this fall as long as I stick to finishing the sleeves and the button band on it. I've talked about this at length. Like I said, I started it last year, so it's been on this long journey on this channel for a while now. But I will quickly remind you of the yarn that I'm using because I just think it's so pretty. So this like caramel color, the main color, is from Sonder Yarn Co. And I think it's like the Luxe Sport in the colorway Full English. I hope I'm correct. And then the mohair that's called for is like a deep burgundy color, and it is also from Sonder Yarn Co. I think it's the Halo in Horse Feather. And then it calls for a color changing yarn throughout. Mine is very subtle, especially on the front. I'll show you the back. I don't think the camera's picking it up super well, but it is some hand spun yarn that I spun up on my spindles. And here's a skein of it for you to look at. And this is a combo spin using 3 different braids that I got from Lavender Lune Yarn Co. I am very happy with this so far. I'm happy I'm at the point where I don't have 3 different areas on hold, because when I hold different sections, I use the wire that you get for interchangeable needles with the little plastic ends, and they always get all tangled and locked up with each other, and it drives me crazy. So when I can get to the point where those are no longer on the garment, I am a lot more excited to knit on it. And the fabric feels really soft. I'm so excited to eventually wear this. My next work in progress is one that I wasn't intending to make, but it's using yarn that I bought to make a different pattern. So I bought this yarn here. It's in a messy little cake, but it's from Dando, and it's the Silk Plus in the colorway Merlot, I believe. It's a 100% silk yarn. It might be blended with some linen. I'll put the info in the description below. But I've knit with this yarn before. I made a full sleeve rib lace raglan, and it's easily the most worn piece I have. I find it to be extremely wearable in the summer and the winter as a layering piece. So I wanted to knit with it again in a very rich berry color like this. And so the original pattern that I was going to knit it with is from Amarisu magazine. It is the Kusi by Mrs. Moon, and I'll show you an up close of that. So it's just a all over lacy tank top. I've been thinking about knitting this for over a year now. There's a couple other. I really like the open back on it. So that's what I was intending to use this yarn for. And I thought since it had such an open gauge as it is, it would be fine if the yarn I was using isn't exactly what was called for. They used a wool yarn actually, so I think it bloomed really nicely because they used a size 15 needle for that pattern, which it was the first time I ever used those in my interchangeable set. And when I knit up the swatch for this, I don't have the swatch anymore, the gauge was just way too open. You couldn't even define the lace pattern at all. And I knit a large swatch too, so if you were going to be able to see it, you would have seen it on that swatch. So I decided I really want to use this yarn this summer. I don't want to wait another year to knit with it. So I decided to find a different pattern. I plugged in all of the filters that I wanted to on Ravelry, and I ended on choosing the Rococo top by Sari Nordlund. I'm really happy with that decision because I love how this is turning out. So this first piece I'm going to show you, I think is going to be the back piece. And again, it's, maybe you can see it through the light here, that lace pattern. I thought it would be really pretty against my pale skin. Hopefully you can see some of the lace pattern come through on there. And this is on hold, and now I am starting what will be the front piece. The reason why I decided for that to be the back piece is it was like a new pattern for me. I was getting used to it, and I think I made a couple mistakes in it, but not enough for me to go back and fix it. And you make the front piece exactly the same as the back piece, so I kind of have a second chance to make the front piece be a bit more flawless than the back piece. So like I said, just knitting this, and I'm sure I'm going to connect the two, knit the body, and then just do like I-cord straps, and I will be done with this project. I'm hoping to have it done in time. Two of my friends are getting married in July, and they're having a wedding party in August, and it's garden party casual attire, so I thought this would be a really pretty tank top to wear. And I'm planning on making the, I think it's called the Zamora skirt by Madswick Designs. It's got all these layers on it, and I think like a deep marine green would be a really pretty fabric to use to pair with this berry color for it. So that's my plan. And I think both pieces will look great in so many other types of outfits as well. And yeah, I'm very excited to have this. I did laugh at myself a little bit because last year I started this bandana in a burgundy lace pattern. And now I'm knitting this tank top in a similar color lace pattern. So clearly I was craving the lace in this dark berry wine color, and now I'm getting two knit garments out of it. The next whip that I have is so far just a swatch, but there's a little bit of a backstory to it. So earlier this spring, my sister had a milestone birthday, and for her present, I decided that I was gonna knit her a sweater, and we were going to get together and sit down, and she would get to choose whatever pattern she wanted. on Ravelry, and then I would kind of show her some options for yarn that I would suggest to go with it, and then she would choose the color. So that's exactly what we did. We met at our local coffee shop, and I brought my laptop, and it was a lot more fun than I was even expecting. I knew it was going to be fun, but to see somebody else look through Ravelry for the first time and kind of see what patterns she was drawn towards was just a fun experience, because every time I'm on Ravelry, I'm just browsing on my own and I have my own opinions and everything. So I was excited to see what sweater she would choose, especially because she's like not in the knitting world at all. So she doesn't have any kind of influence over what the hot pattern is or who the most popular designers are, and so she has just like a totally unbiased view going into choosing a pattern. So the pattern that she did land on is the Ginkgophyte by Emily Greene. It was a pattern, I believe, in one of the Pom Pom quarterly issues, but it is now available to purchase as an individual pattern. So we chose that, and we are going to do I'm going to knit the short sleeve version with the cuffed edging on it. I was kind of surprised that she opted for a t-shirt. I told her, like, go for a full sweater so you have a hand knit sweater, but maybe because it was warm outside, she was just in summer mode and she wanted a summer sweater. I think this will be a good pattern to wear with layering pieces throughout winter as well. And we landed on Purl Soho's linen quill for the yarn, and she was very much kind of debating between a few different colors, but eventually she decided to go with the fresh nutmeg color just because it's a super classic staple color to have in the wardrobe, and it will act as a neutral, so it'll go with a lot of different things. And I won't lie, I kind of encouraged her to go with this yarn base because I have not knit with linen quill before, and it's one that I've always wanted to knit with because I see a lot of people knitting with it. And so I wanted to try it out for myself. It's a nice summer plant-based yarn, and yeah, I really enjoy it so far. So I'll show you the swatch. It's the most boring swatch. All it is stockinette, but it is still a little bit wet too. And I am very happy with how the fabric turned out. I think it's a nice, like, pretty solid fabric, and I am on gauge, so I'll be able to start this sweater pretty soon here on the needles that are called for. And yeah, I'm very excited to work on this. I am gonna be very tough on myself and also try to have this finished this summer. These two works in progress, this one and then the Rococo top, are both my summer knits for the summer. I don't expect myself to cast on any other summer knit projects. I'm just going to focus on these, and that way I can have a clean slate when fall arrives and I just want to do all the fall knitting. My last work in progress is one that was a bit spontaneous for me. I just suddenly decided to cast it on last night as soon as I had the idea for the pattern. And it is using the Sock Squad from Farmer Daughters Fibers, her July colorway, or their July colorway. And the color is called Sights on the Horizon, and it's on the Elkhorn sock base, which I really have been enjoying working with. I'll go ahead and show you the colors. They're just in a cake form, obviously. But here's the main. It's this really pretty whitish base, but it has all of these denim blue speckles in it and a couple very minor speckles of a bright teal and kind of like a goldenrod color. I don't know if you can really see those. But I thought it was really pretty, and it kind of reminded me of clouds in the sky. And then the contrast color is this rich brown, and I just loved the way these two are paired together. So I needed to cast on a sock right away because I finished the Fiorita Socks and I don't really have any easy on-the-go pattern, like a project to knit with when I'm socializing with friends or I have a couple minutes in the parking lot. And I feel like I always want to have a sock project on the needles. So I cast something on because I had an idea in my head that I thought would be kind of cute. And I'll show you where I'm at so far. So again, I cast it on last night. I'm not like super far on it, but I'm trying to like come up with creative ways to use the contrast colors. So instead of just doing a plain rib, main color, and then plain toe, I want to think outside of the box of different ways to use that contrast color. So my plan is, well, first of all, I am doing a corrugated ribbing using 2 colors. So I'm knitting the contrast color and I'm purling the main color. And if you're curious, I just cast it on 7D stitches and I'm using US 1 needles. My plan is to knit the whole leg in this corrugated ribbing pattern. Similar to like, I was actually kind of inspired by, I like a few years ago got a 10-pack of just plain Hanes white socks because I like wearing them to the gym, and they're like the calf length ones, and they have ribbing all the way down the calf until you hit the heel and the foot of the sock. So I kind of wanted to replicate that, but make it a little more funky using the 2 colors. So again, I'm going to just knit the whole leg in this pattern here, and then the heel and the foot I'll knit in the main color. And if I have enough yarn to do a contrast toe, I think I'm going to do a contrast toe to kind of tie the contrast color together. If I won't have enough yarn, I'll just do the toe in the main colorway. But yeah, this has been taking up my attention all day today and yesterday, and it's just a really easy, mindless pattern to work on. And I'm enjoying it so far. I'm really excited to see how these turn out. If they turn out nice, I can see myself making a lot of different versions of this sock using leftover sock yarn and other main colors that I have, because I have a lot of sock yarn in stash. That is all the knitting that I have. I did want to quickly show you just a little skein that I spun up recently on my drop spindles. Here it is. It looks a lot like the colorways I've been spinning up a lot lately, and one of you even mentioned like, oh wow, your color schemes are all very similar to what you're spinning, and I completely agree. I think it's because they're all kind of springy colors, and I was in a really big springy color mood late winter into spring, and now I've noticed myself kind of leaning more towards fall autumnal colors, so I'm excited to start spinning more of those. This was like 50 grams of fiber that I had, and I spun it up as a 2-ply just barber pole, and it's from Little Fern Fiber Co. I really enjoyed spinning with this on my spindles, and I think I talked about this also in my last episode, so I have more information on the fiber content and all of that, I believe, in that episode. No idea what to use this for, but it looks pretty cute to have on my little yarn shelf. I haven't been spinning a lot lately because I'm kind of saving myself for Tour de Fleece, which is starting pretty soon here. Okay, so it starts this Saturday. It's Wednesday right now. Wow, I didn't realize it was that quick. Okay, I'm excited, and I'm glad I haven't been spinning too much because I just want to save my spinning mojo for this Saturday, the beginning of Tour de Fleece. And again, if you're not aware or you want more information, Casey and I are kind of leading the team, I guess. And our team name is called Fleece Force, and she has a whole chat system built on her website for everyone who wants to join our team to chat on, and it's just welcome to all. We don't really have any goals or anything. I think the only goal is just to try to spin every day that the riders are riding in the Tour de France, and if you can't, no big deal. It's super casual. It's just a fun communal way for spinners to just all get together and chat. So I'll put her website with that chat feature in the description below. We were also playing with the idea of maybe creating a Ravelry group for the team as well. If we do end up making that, I'll make sure to add that in the description below too. So very excited to get going on spinning. If you're wondering what my plans are for spinning, again, check out the last video. I have all of my intentions on what I want to spin for Tour de Fleece. Okay, so on to the sewing portion. Like I said, I kind of have a little bit of sojo back, and I think it helped that I just pulled my machines out and they've just been sitting on the dining room table. Fortunately, Mitch hasn't said anything about it, and I'm just gonna ride out as long as I can with just having all of my sewing stuff right in the dining room. It's out of the way, so it's not like in the main walkway or anything. But I finally used the fabric that I dyed myself. It was an old white linen bed sheet, and I dyed it myself. It kind of created this accidental but really cool tie-dye effect in a brown color. And my plan was to sew the jumpsuit pattern from Birgitta Helmersson's Zero Waste Patterns book. And that's what I did. So I think I'm going to move locations to show you this because it's so long, it's going to be too hard to fit on the screen. So here is the jumpsuit. I'll kind of give you a twirl. It's completely like full length. It goes just to the tops of my feet, and I really like the length it's at. And then the sleeves, they're like a 3/4, I would say. They kind of give a short sleeve vibe when I'm down, when my hands are down. They're not quite completely long sleeve, but I think it is such a cool pattern. One of my favorite parts about it is this elastic waist, so it doesn't make me feel just like a complete box. It gives like a little bit of definition while still being extremely comfortable. And I also really like the buttons on it as well. I will say, when you're doing the patterns from Birgitta Helmersson's book Zero Waste Patterns, it can be really challenging to figure out what dimensions it needs to be for your size. All that aside, it's also really confusing when cutting it out as well sometimes. So I really had to take my time with it, but I think I made like a size large. I'm not totally 100% sure with it, but I'm really happy with how it fits and how it turned out. I also was very intimidated to sew this because it was considered to be like one of the most difficult patterns in the book. And I feel like lately the stuff I've been sewing, I haven't loved 100% or hasn't turned out as good as I wanted. I'm really happy to finally have a win with this piece, and I'm so excited to wear it. I think it's going to be really cool to wear in the summer with just like some black Birkenstocks, or also transition it into the fall and maybe even winter by layering it with like a shawl and a long sleeve underneath it. So yeah, I just think this is such a cool piece, and I really love this accidental tie-dye look to it. I think it just gives it an even cooler feel. I still have yet to finish Mitch's vest that I was making for him out of an old wool, or not an old wool blanket, but a wool blanket that he purchased. And I'm in the same spot. I just have the arms and the buttons to sew on, and that's it. So I have to do that before I can sew anything else because I'm so close to having it finished, and I just want him to have it available for whenever he ends up wearing it, even though we're in the middle of summer and it could be a while. But I already have another project that I've been thinking about, and I have some fabric pulled for it as well. I am a big lover of pajamas, and my taste for pajamas, I think, has gotten more refined in the last few years, meaning I want pajamas that have really good quality in the fabric, and the fabric isn't going to get all messed up. So essentially I need to stop buying pajamas from Target or any other store like that, because I personally find that they're really hard to take care of because of the fabric that's used, and they just don't always do that well in the washer. I don't know. And they're all polyester. No shade to anybody who buys pajamas from Target, because I do all the time. I just want to challenge myself to sew a project that doesn't necessarily need to be worn out and shown off in the world. I want to make more cozy pajamas that I wear at home, because I am a bit of a homebody and I do spend a lot of time at home, and I want to be in comfy, cute, matching PJ sets. So all that aside, is my next project is going to be making myself a pair of pajamas. And the pattern that I plan on using is the Pipit Loungewear set by Common Stitch. This was actually one of the first patterns I ever purchased and made. I made a pair of shorts using this pattern that I wear all the time. Still to this day, they're my most worn shorts. I made the top not to be worn with the shorts, but to just wear separately. Anyways, I want to use the pattern for what it's intended for, to make a matching set of pajamas, and I'm kind of leaning towards using this fabric right here. I got this fabric from an online fabric store that sells dead stock fabric, and I bought 10 different bits of fabric that all were at least 2 yards, and I got it for a really good price. So yeah, over the years I've never really found a use for this to sew something out of. I think the pattern and the color just didn't fit with whatever I had envisioned for sewing patterns in the past. But when I went through my fabric stash, I thought that this would just make gorgeous fabric for a cute matching set of pajamas. I think I really like the soft colors, and it's a very heavy, drapey, linen-y type fabric. There's definitely another content in here that I'm not 100% sure. I won't lie, it feels like maybe a little bit of polyester blended in there. But I think this is going to make some very cozy pajamas. So that's what I have envisioned to make next. I'm hoping to get the fabric cut out this weekend to have kind of a long weekend. It feels really good, as always, to sit down and catch up on all of the making that I've been doing and talking to you all. I have had a hectic couple of weeks, but I think the dust is starting to settle, and I'm very thankful for that. Last weekend was a really challenging weekend for me. My mom had to go to the hospital and get emergency surgery on her spine, but she's doing well now, and we think she might be able to come home from the hospital today. And if so, I'll be visiting her all the time, because the hospital she's staying at is an hour and a half away from our house, but it's a very good hospital, and they took very good care of her. And when I got home from visiting her this weekend, I noticed that my cat, Lou, her health had taken a turn, and I took her to the emergency vet, and unfortunately, I had to put her to sleep, which makes me really sad to talk about. Lou was 15 years old, and I've had her since I was 19 years old. So you can do the math to figure out how old I am. She's been around for almost half of my life. She lived a really big, full life. She's lived in 4 different states, many different apartments and houses. She had different cat roommates that she absolutely loved, and human roommates, and now living here with the boys. I always considered this to be her retirement home because, as you can see, we have a lot of windows and she got to look at all the wildlife. But yeah, the house feels a little bit empty and we're all very sad, but she had a good run and I'm very thankful for her being on my side through everything. So yeah, obviously that's always tough. It was my first animal that was my very own that I had to put down. All the past pets that I've had were technically my parents. So that was really tough, but I'm hanging in there. I have a really good support system. So yeah, as far as other things, I have some other exciting things going on. Mitch, my partner, actually recently bought me an electric mountain bike. So we mountain bike all the time. We never mountain bike together because Mitch is very hardcore with his mountain biking. He even does racing this summer with it, and I'm a really good bike handler, but my cardio just isn't quite there, at least to his level. So we never went together because it turned into a training session and I always hated it. So we always went on separate rides. But now that I have the electric mountain bike, we can finally ride together, and that's been really fun. I took it out for the first time a couple nights ago and was able to go way further than I ever would have been able to go, and I was able to keep up with him pretty much the whole time. So that's super exciting and has motivated me to get out in nature even more. And yeah, other than that, I pretty much have just been watching Love Island. I'm caught up. I'm 1 episode behind. I watch it every single night, and it's a lot of fun. If there's any other people out there who watch it, I'm sure you get the excitement of it all. So that's been kind of my fun summary watch. But yeah, not much else is really going on, and I'm okay with that. I kind of prefer to have slower summers just to kind of chill and relax and hang around the house because, again, I really enjoy the space that I've created here, and I love hanging out in the yard and all that. So I hope you are also having a wonderful time and a really great summer here in the Northern Hemisphere. And I just wanted to say, if you're new here, welcome. Please consider subscribing and you won't miss out on any future content. And if you like what you see here, please give it a thumbs up. That really helps my channel out and lets me know that you like this type of content. Anyways, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your July, and we will chat next time. Bye.